We have got still all of the Greenwoods visit. We've got people we talk to there. Why have I got the hawthorn here? Well, that's something I'm working on for next week with a special guest. You're going to love to see him. We see Steve at Greenwoods. He talks about his flowering hawthorn, something I've never quite achieved. As always, we've got at least 6 more questions that you asked Jelle. Particularly, we've got a load about black pine, a few more questions for Jelle himself, and just the general sort of stuff. It's going to be a bit mishmash. It's going to be a bit everywhere, but it's going to have the same sort of humour and, hopefully, knowledge that you've come to expect with Jelle. And all I say is, it is everywhere, so don't skip, or you could miss something that's vital to your bonsai. Anyway, let's crack on and hit Greenwood, shall we? So here we are, we've managed to get through the traffic and we're at Greenwoods Bonsai Bash, and somewhere in there, if I get the angles right, I've got Jelle, who's going to wave.
And here we are, we're right at Greenwoods Bonsai Bash. And,
we've got a duo going on with 2 YouTubers. And of course, if you come to Greenwoods, look, if I didn't give you some pictures of some root over rock, well, you know how much I love them. And here, you definitely get some decent root over rock. Lovely Xavier. And Japanese maple there that's been fully leaf defoliated. And again, a cedar. Lovely, lovely black pine. Japanese quince. And I do believe there's a mating pair over there. I think it's a John and
Beverley.
Are you a mating pair by any chance? Are you
we are.
found?
long time married.
John, I recognise. I'm sure I've seen some pictures from you.
Yeah.
Yes, you have.
Right.
So what was the last picture you sent in?
I've sent last, I think it was a Juniper, which was pot damaged by a pigeon.
Pot damage.
So it was a repot. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your favourite species?
My favourite species probably is elm.
Elm. And you know, if you've seen any of mine, I have loads of elm cuttings.
Seen, yeah.
Do you take many cuttings yourself?
No. I tend to have a couple of air layers and whatnot, but...
What's the tree that you love the most, that you're absolutely hopeless on, but you want to get better?
Probably...
You're the first person I've ever asked this question.
Probably cork bark oak. I've got one.
Cork bark oak?
Yeah.
It's deciduous pines, really.
Deciduous.
Yeah.
Little joke from really. That was?
Yeah, I've seen him before.
Yeah. There's warning signs about him all over the Netherlands. Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's always a pleasure speaking to other great bonsai enthusiasts, John.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much.
And it is a pleasure. I do appreciate your support and talking to me.
Anytime.
Obviously, behind me, we have got an incredible maple forest. I mean, it's 4 foot, 5 foot across. People ask a lot about cuttings and what's the easiest and most reliable way to do a cutting. Well, I've shown you once before, but in this incredible tree at Corin's, we get to see it. Let Mother Nature do all the work for you, reap the rewards afterwards. So now, the next question is from Graham, and he's spent 3 years basically trying to do an air layer on a Ginkgo. That's what it looks like now. I'm gathering that's anywhere between 2-3 foot tall.
And I'm assuming this is the air layer.
This is the air layer, and the tape measure is actually showing a 2-inch girth at the base.
Okay.
And I think there it's that big, bold decisions. But, I mean, from my own point...
wasn't the question how to further develop this, right?
Yep.
It's a good question. First of all, why did you air layer where you did? I would assume once you started air layering, you have some idea where you want this to go. Now, this part is of course quite straight. It doesn't have a lot of taper, not a lot of movement, and no side branches. So you are basically stuck here with a very long section. If it would have been my tree, I would have considered air layering much higher, which would have directly give you a directional change in your tree or a directional change in this tree. So right now it's a little bit difficult to decide what to do. It can be a somewhat formal upright, but you also want taper. So one of the things to consider over the long term is to see whether you want to remove these two big stalks and start building your tree with the smaller ones. But you're always going to have this very straight, taperless section of the trunk in there. So I would first allow it to grow a season, really extend, build up the root mass. Not sure if that helps.
I think the one thing I'd probably say there is, and sometimes it can come across as hard when other people give perspective. We all have different perspective on trees. And I think the thing when we looked at this, I love it's a ginkgo. But the first thing I said when I saw it, and I nearly replied straight away, was, oh, I just wish you'd air layered at a slightly different place or created an angle so that you can overcome that straight bit. And I've got several trees which have got the same. It's not insurmountable. I think Jelle's right. If I was you, I would just let it grow, grow, grow. It's amazing how many little buds you get lower down. I might also chop the top half off. And they are a pretty hardy tree. So I'd be almost looking to try and encourage it by cutting almost at that sort of height and seeing what comes from it. It's trying to make the best sometimes of perhaps you look back and think, wish I'd done it slightly differently. But that doesn't mean you can't still make something from this, because do you know what ginkgo I love? And you know what? If they're healthy, they really push out and they can look great with that flame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And never forget, hindsight is 20/20. We always know best what we did wrong. It's difficult to make the right choices before we make them. So you have a chance to learn here. Well, if you take an air layer, make sure you take an air layer at the spot where you already have a vision for the tree that you want to develop.
And you know what? I've got a video all about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, incredible. Just there. I've just been accosted by Colin. He has got the best hat. Definitely, I thought he was Crocodile Dundee, but I noticed in your basket, Colin, you found yourself
3 privets.
Got some privets. And have you got any plans for what you want to do with them?
Yeah, I've got a pot that's longer than wider,
Yeah.
and I've made a sort of cliff edge.
Really?
So I'm going to put the 3 up to the cliff edge, and
So have you already, is it just you got cliff edge, have you got some already planted onto it and you're adding to it?
no, I haven't got anything planted in it yet.
So what is your favourite tree?
Probably of the ones I've got, it's either the beech forest or my Japanese maple.
When you prune beech, do you let them run out so you get all the 6 the leaves have opened up and then prune?
Yeah.
Or do you do that, the advanced one where you nip out the bud
No, I let them have the full growth.
so they get that real healthy?
Yeah, and then I sort of decide how much I'm going to prune them back.
How long have you been doing bonsai for?
Well, I started in '85.
That was when I came over from Australia.
Yeah,
I was 18, I think.
and then I had a period in the early 2000s where I didn't have any trees,
Yeah.
and then I got back into it after my partner died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that.
She died in 2019. The Japanese maple that I've got, my mum had it in a pot in the garden,
Yeah.
and when I got back into it, she said, well, if you want it, it's there. Yeah,
Do you know, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
yeah, and you.
And so the next one we've got is there's several questions came, but it's basically around about Japanese black pine, and it's come from Greg. And I think he's concerned about his development, when to prune Japanese black pine candle, when can he thin sort of from 4 candles down to 2. I imagine he's looking at the big clump up here. And also something relating to, I think it's 4 years old, when can he bear root? Can he bear root? And he's heard the black pines, you can't bear root. So I think it's a more generalised,
Yeah.
have a look at that. What would you do with that, Jelle?
I think the first question is, Greg, what is your development horizon? Are you thinking about having a nice tree in the next 5 years, next 10 years, next 50 years? This is a young tree. You can still do anything you want with this tree. Now, if you say, I want within the next couple of years, I want to have a nice tree, keep in mind this trunk is then never going to be really, really fat. But the thing to do normally with the pine is here you have a few lower buds. And in fact, the only part that I would consider for my bonsai on this tree is basically this area. You see here, there's a growing tip, there's a growing tip there, there, and then you've got this nice one here as well. You could still wire it out and put a little bit of movement here in this lower part, but don't bump off any of these buds because these you like. Everything else I would just allow to grow, but then I wouldn't keep everything. I would probably just take 1 or 2 leaders here on the top and remove all the other growth here. Eventually also take most of the needles here, so you just have a bare stem going up and a whip that just shoots. Let that grow tall. 6 feet, 7 feet, 2 meters, 3 meters. That will cause this to swell enormously. At the same time, these buds need to get lots and lots of sun, but you don't allow these candles to extend. So this one you could already cut in half. That means that you get more buds here. Then you have lots and lots of buds in this low area. And once you say, well, now this is thick enough, you cut this off. You make a tiny little gin, and then you start building your tree with what is here. Then you have a very fat base with young branches that you can then start using to build your tree. As for roots, I think you asked something also about transplanting roots from one location to another. In theory you can. I've never seen anybody do it successfully. But what you can do is you can do an approach graft. So you don't cut the root off, you just mark a spot in the trunk, you make a little bit of a wound in the tree, and then you put the root in and you tie it down. Are they more sensitive to root work? Yes. Should you bare roots, you should avoid it. But this is a young plant, and young plants is something very different from a 30-year-old tree or even a 100-year-old Yamadori. So here you can work the roots quite well. I would get it out of this organic and in a more inorganic. I know that Xavier is a big fan of pond baskets. You can also do air pruning pots, and they work really well on pines. The roots grow out, they reach the end of the pot, the tips dry out, they die off, and then new roots will form. And typically they will also form from the base. So if you don't have enough roots at the Nabari level, that is a way to get new roots. Keep in mind, if you work the roots on a pine, you don't do anything else that year. You just allow it to grow, because they do get a lot weaker from it. And typically with all these 2-needle pines, backbudding occurs best from a needle pair. So there's a little bud between the 2 needles, and if you tease the top enough, then new buds might pop through those needles. So don't pluck needles off in places where you might want to have buds, which is actually opposite from what everybody tells you. You remove all the needles and then you wait for backbuds and they don't come. This is what I love. And remember that we were talking about Dawn Redwood before, where we discussed on what do we do with the branches, and we said let's keep them quite horizontal because that is actually how they typically grow. These are pretty much perfectly horizontal in really nice little planes. I think this is exactly what I had in mind. But your tree is a much better bonsai because it's much smaller. This is just so big, it's almost a tree.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yes, I would love to have this in my garden.
Look at that, I mean, look at that, all the lovely buds coming out. There's going to be so many fronds on this one. Just a shame I can't fit it in the boot.
We can put it on the roof.
Well, you can go on the roof and I'll put it in the passenger seat.
You can go in the passenger seat and I'll go on the roof. Oh no. Thank you. So you also waste your time on YouTube videos?
No.
Watching me blab on?
Yeah.
Can I be really miserable, Stephen, and ask if you actually ever seen mine?
Yes.
He's a good liar, isn't he, Jelle?
No, I have.
Just bonsai trees.
Yes, I know. No, I have. I just recognised you.
Can I put you in the spot and say, what's your favourite tree to work on?
Just say elm and he's happy.
No.
Say jade. Jade. Ficus?
It's got a bit of hawthorn, I'm afraid.
Well, what's the biggest problem with hawthorn?
They take too long to grow.
It's a slow grower, then?
Branches, yeah, and the angles that they grow at, etc. So it can be a bit more challenging time-wise. But
Do you get yours to flower? See, I've got 3 or 4 hawthorn, but I have yet to get flowers off them.
yeah,
It's a matter of timing your pruning at the right moment.
that's one of the rafts.
Oh, look at that.
Is that a Welsh
I said it-
raft collector?
That's got lovely white flowers on it.
The The Wells have some of the best hawthorns in the UK.
Yeah, I've got a few.
And of course, up north, there's a couple of people who also have good hawthorns. Sorry, Tony.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Wells had some good trees as well.
Yeah.
What do you think of the stuff here? He's changed it around.
It's
There
great,
used to be
yeah.
a greenhouse there.
And I think it's quality of trees, I think, is the thing.
So the next one we've got is from Jason, and it looks like is that a squamata or it's always had a needle juniper?
It is a needle juniper. Could also be a Procumbens nana. I think it is too complex for a squamata.
Right. So basically, his
This could
question
be.
is how to style it or which way to go with it.
Yeah, and he is a big fan of cascades. So he's looking for making cascade, right? That's the right interpretation. You say you killed your first one because you didn't realize that junipers are not made for the windowsill but are better for outside. I think that's a very common thing for people. They buy a tree, the first bonsai, and they think it's a nice houseplant because that's typically where they're sold in garden centers, and nobody tells you they need to be outside. Now, if you want a cascade, it's a little bit difficult to see from the pictures. I think this is the best picture that you have. Typically, a cascade reflects a tree that stands on, for instance, a rocky terrain where every once in a while rocks tumble down, branches break, and the only part of the tree that survives are the ones that hang down and everything rolls over and then it can roll up, break down. So you have this undulating shape going down and down. So you're looking for something that is downward pointing compared to the trunk. Well, you have one small branch here, you have a bigger branch here, you have a big branch here. My main concern with these two is this is a very, very long section that comes up initially. So I would almost be tempted to say if you really want to go for a cascade, then this might be the branch that you want to use for that. And then here is another branch that I see that you could use as a little top branch, because also a cascade has a distinct top and a branch that comes down from it. I would be very tempted to say take this off or rethink your plan. You can also say, well, no, this is actually a nice strong top branch. Can I find a picture of just that branch? Well, you see it coming here up. You could wire that up elegantly and then you wire the branches out as an informal upright. That is still an option. This is a very, very flexible long branch. You can pull that up. For instance, put a bamboo stalk in between, give it a little bit of a nice undulating shape, and then remove the lower branches up to there, and then just use branches all around the trunk to form a canopy. So those are the two options. I am not sure I would want to make this into a cascade, but if I were to make a cascade, I'd probably build it out of these two. But mind you, this is a 2D picture, I don't have the tree in front of me.
I'm wondering if we can find the lesser spotted Jelle YouTube content creator. Ooh, I can hear his voice.
In the time that cut can close. Yeah. But you need to prepare it for closing, otherwise it will not close.
Yeah. Hi, Xavier.
Oh yeah.
Graham from Bolton.
Hello, Graham from
Bolton
Bolton.
Palaver. Yeah.
Oh, it's Palaver.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Yeah.
Xavier, now that you're actually spending some decent money on decent trees, what do you think of this elm? I know you like Chinese elms.
Oh, it's a bit. I don't think it's got any character.
You know, it's the same price as your juniper. A little bit more expensive than your juniper.
I hate that trunk.
Yeah.
You don't like the old bark on it that is starting to really peel
We've got lots of elms like that. They're just a bit smaller.
Yeah, most of your elms are about... You could take an air layer and you have the biggest tree in your collection.
Oh, don't be like that. That's terrible. What a palaver he's making.
I know, so I always, well, you probably don't know about the plonk and palaver. I always put that in so you know exactly who it is, you see.
The next questions come from Kris. He actually got two questions. One's about trident maple, which I think we've got up on the screen right now. One trunk is not budded.
It's trunk.
Yeah.
And you're wondering whether it's alive or not. And if you scratch it, it is still green. I'm not a big fan of scratching trees, to be honest. I normally just look at the bark, and I look at the bark and see whether it's still nice and swollen or whether it's more wrinkled and dried out. And if I look at this picture, it still looks okay. So at this point, it's just a question of waiting. Do see there's a wire here going over the tree. You can check whether that wire might be girdling the base of this trunk that causes it to really not grow. Sometimes branches do die. I just wait them out, and if in the middle of summer it hasn't grown, I just chop it off and start over. I wire these sort of things as soon as I can. Now, I try to not wire larches in summer when I don't have to, because it's very easy to damage the buds. And with larch, it's important to know if you lose a bud, it will not come back. So yes, I would wire this winter. And when do I wire larches in winter? Anytime that there's no needles.
I think we actually had, you're getting spoiled. There was one other question you had as well. I think that related to the Dawn Redwood, which this is magnificent. Lovely, lovely, long, straight trunk. Got a knot. I like the fact there's a bit of a fork there. I think there might be some new shoots there. I'd be tempted to take the top off, actually.
It is really straight. So first choice for you. Is this what you want to build? Really straight tree. So the branches are also delicately spreading without big curves. So the first thing I saw was this branch, and it sticks out to me like a sore thumb. It doesn't match the character of the rest of the tree. So consider whether you want to keep this. Then there's one coming up here from the base going vertical as well. Do you need it, or is it just a competing trunk? You could consider removing it. Now this curve, you might say, well, but I don't have any foliage, but that's not true, because I see a little branch here on the side as well coming from the same spot more or less. So you could take this out. And there's a tiny little branch here that can fill up this whole space, so you don't need it. Then I've got 3 here on the right. Do I need all of them, or can I just say I'm going to remove 1 or 2 of them, and I'm just keeping this one, and then I go over that one, then I go 1 in the back, maybe 1 to the side, then you say here 1 on the left, 1 on the right, and you're top. But you try to avoid to have too many on one side and then a huge gap on the left side, and then have a whole cluster of branches on one spot. That just over time creates bulging, it becomes less pretty. Mix it up a little bit, but this is for me quite mixed up. I would thin out, well, particularly this area, that area, and see what's going on here. That's difficult from the picture, and remove one of the branches and this curved one. But I'm not an expert on Dawn Redwood. I'm actually here also today to talk to Xavier about how he cares for his Dawn Redwood, because I've just started growing that 2 years ago. I'm a novice in the species. I'm just looking at the structure.
I think the one thing I'll say to you about the Dawn Redwood, and you can tell I love redwood, is I prune them once a year, and that'll be dictated. As soon as the fronds go that rusty red colour, as soon as you've got bifurcation, so you start getting those side shoots, and normally that's around about mid-June, coming near the end of July, you've got the rusty red, then you can actually cut that one off, and you're going to promote some latent buds to actually start shooting out. If you don't see those, then don't do it, because what will happen is at the end of the year, the whole lot drops off and you lose all of it. And the redwood needs a lot of warmth and a lot of heat to actually have time for those branches to actually develop and become viable in their own right. Often in the UK, we don't get enough time and they'll drop. So it can be difficult in the colder climates. Okay, lengthy answer, but looks nice and healthy.
What have we got there? That's an interesting.
A juniper. Don't ask me which one. It looks a little bit weak with lots of lichens. what I find interesting is just look at this trunk. Somebody's been spending a lot of time shaping this tree, or it came from a garden that it was nice and twisted up. Then they spend a lot of time wiring. It needs maybe unwiring.
Just a subscriber, what's your name?
My name's Anthony. Short for Anthony, yeah.
Hi, Anthony. Xavier, I'm going to make
Nice to meet you, mate.
Have you met
Jelle.
Yeah, I haven't met you in person, but yeah.
So have you been unfortunate to watch any of his videos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he does. Very
Do you find it puts you to sleep? He's always good to
inspirational.
watch at about 10:30 at night if you want to get to sleep quickly.
I'm in dreamland here. So
Yeah,
I've only been doing it about 3 years. It's a bit overwhelming at first when you first come here, but
But what sort of trees have you got at the moment? Is that
my first proper bonsai I got was a Chinese elm. After watching all of your guys' videos, researching, thought that'd be the best one for me. I've got maples. I've got a nice little katsura.
Oh, it's a lovely leaf on that.
Dawn redwoods. Big fan of dawn redwoods.
What do you like most about Dawn Redwood though?
I like the history behind them. How they seem to go back.
Well, didn't they?
As much as we know, they're like Jurassic.
Yeah.
So,
But they were only really recently rediscovered as a species,
Yeah.
sort of in the 1900s, I
Yeah.
think.
like I say, now it's quieted down. I'm gonna have a proper look and get something.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to stop annoying you because I always do this. Just when people are starting to look around, I'll sit there.
Nice to meet you as well, and nice to talk.
Well, is it an obsession? You know, I don't think it's an obsession. I think it is obsessive how many trees are here. So we suffer from the same problem. It's my wife calls me a little hoarder when it comes to trees. But what is the hobby? There are people who want to have a finished bonsai on the shelves. They go out, go to the store, they buy a nice tree, and every year they just prune the outline and say, well, this is my bonsai. For me, I'm a creator. I like to create stuff. So I like to grow things out. I like to cut it back. I like to determine where it goes. And once a tree gets to a refinement state, I get actually bored because it changes any moment. If I have 20 cuttings sitting in my home, 10 of those straight away move on to beginners. Then I've got another 2 or 3 that I play with, and 2 or 3 that die, and 3 that don't survive my trials, because I also want to know what can a tree take.
It's always difficult because people say, oh, you're borderline obsessive about it, you take too many, you can't care for them. And I know for me, it probably responds to the vast quantity of Chinese elms I've got. And
You have Chinese elms.
and a lot of those I took in the first 2 or 3 years that I came here, and then I haven't really taken any more since. And yes, I've got hundreds. But what I find is that when you take that many, I'm looking for that one or that second special one. It's like each year I potted one up this year, which is sort of upright. It's about, I don't know, 7 inches, 8 inches tall. Chinese elm. And it had been sitting in the cuttings pile. And I find each year, I find 2 or 3 that I'm going, that's going to make a really good bonsai.
Yep.
Do you know what? If you're happy taking loads of cuttings, if you're happy with lots of younger material, do you know what? It's your hobby. Enjoy it.
Yes, one can buy €5,000 Yamadori trunk and develop that as a nice ancient cascading pine with really, really, really nice small needles, and everybody who walks into your garden will be like, But people who really grow bonsai also take a tree and they're like, how did you do that? So the starting material isn't always defining whether it's a good tree to me.
Question number 2. That just goes to show 35 minutes in, and now question 2. You have a YouTube channel. It's doing very, very well. I think at the moment, sort of mid 70, 75, 76,000 subscribers.
Kicked to 75,000 a week ago.
Actually brilliant. Well done on that.
But can you imagine, there's 75,000 people who say, I like those videos, or I like the guy, I hope they like the videos, and I want to see more. I've just been thinking about it. It's the size of the town I grew up in. And I know it's nothing like the Mr. Beast of the world who have millions and millions and millions, but for just somebody playing with trees, I was quite impressed.
I'm going to test your knowledge. Put down in the comments right now, without checking, who can remember what Jelle's first ever video was? Because do you know what? I do.
Me
First
too.
of all, Is that, whatever it is, still alive?
I don't know what the tree was. I know it was frozen.
It was frozen. Okay. It was really good. It was sort of time lapse. It was I think it was 5 larches. And there were 5, and it's actually, you actually go straight back to the first video Jelle ever did. That's not a short, and it's these 5 larch trees, and actually it's pretty impressive. Have you got a 5 larch tree clump still?
No.
So someone else may still have it.
Probably. I'm trying to think what I did.
Brilliant. It's actually
I don't recall which video that is, but that's what we were discussing earlier. I do a lot of bonsai, I do a lot of forming, and I also like to hand on trees.
Yeah.
So trees do come in and out of my gardens. I would say that over the last 5 years, half of my trees have moved on. Some 10 or so have died. Yes, trees do also die in my garden because I am over enthusiastic. I don't think I've killed larches so far yet. So must be with someone else.
Tell you what, I'm aware that there's so much we could talk about, but I've got a favourite project that actually has been out this year, and that's the creation of the Fangorn Forest, the March of the Oak Ents, and the dragon with the beech.
Is that your Lord of the Rings?
The Lord of the Rings inspired thing. And there's been lots of people who've been involved in it. Gary Brown made the pots, and I mean, you've had a look at it. What do you think of that?
It doesn't adhere to any of the bonsai rules, but it adheres to the number 1 bonsai rule that I like. And you're having lots of fun.
Having stacks of fun.
And let's be honest, Lord of the Rings, I think a lot of people now know it from the movies, but it's actually one of my most favorite books that I've ever read. So I really like that you're making this.
Yeah, and I think I've done this for myself. I've also done it for community. There's been so many people who've been actively involved in my bonsai community, whether it be making the pots, encouraging me. So, that's fantastic. The reason why I talked about it is because there is something that you did in one of your videos, and I don't know if you'll remember, but I found it was really artistic. It showed so much creativity, and it's a lot of work you had to do. It was some sort of sloping landscape.
Yep.
Is that still...
Well, actually, you've not been paying attention because there's this short.
We've talked about shorts. Do I watch?
There is this short. Link it up, mate. Where I just showed how I pruned it back. Yes, I've still got it. So I made the rock. I then trained the little trees. I planted it on there. That's now been 4 years, I think, ago. And that also started as a little bit of a joke because people were asking, well, how can you make concrete pots? That was a big trend.
Yeah.
It's like, let's make a concrete pot, but then not a pot. Let's make it in a landscape. So, yeah. And it turned out really, really nice. So I still have it.
It's amazing though when you look at something you've made like that, and it's not directly the bonsai itself, but I remember seeing the number of videos you put together, the actual creation of that whole thing. It was a big undertaking. 3
videos, but I spent 6 months making it.
Yeah.
So video creation is also part of patience, right? If you want to show something interesting, you better make either something interesting straight away, or you take a lot of time to make an interesting video.
There's been some massive changes at Greenwoods, and he's now moved this great big indoor bonsai area, massive from the old stuff he had. And then obviously he's got loads of these trees that are all done up on the monkey poles. And it just changes the whole aspect, the whole feel of how things are at Greenwoods. And you've still got your normal display benches with loads and loads of high quality trees and some good affordable stuff to work on. But having these display trees like this, just incredible. I mean, there's no doubt that the effort that Greenwoods have made to change the atmosphere of what is already a premier nursery, being able to sit down with some of these incredible trees that the coroner's put together in his collection, have them displayed as they are, there's space, you feel invited, you feel comfortable. If you haven't been to Greenwoods recently, certainly since it's changed, then it really is worth making that effort. I love it. Every time I come here, I just want to keep buying trees. I need to find Jelle now. Well, I tell you what, absolutely fantastic. When we were here last time, it was raining. Guess what? It's raining now. Jelle loves weather. I've got to rush off to Birmingham Airport shortly to get him away and out of the country. I've had a fantastic time with Jelle. He's going to wave. Jelle, it's been fantastic having you here.
Xavier, it's fantastic being here. Let's go get going, and I will see you next time, or you see him next time.
Anyway, apart from that, if you want to see more great visit videos with Jelle, that's the video. Otherwise, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.